All right.
We on? Yep. Cool. All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
All right, first and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh.
Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahabashai, Bahashim, Rakakodash.
All right, double honors to the apostles when that was a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. All right, just Jim as Dallas class. We're gonna just go into Daniel, the ninth chapter, verses 27. I'm sorry, verses 24 through 27. And when you get this chapter, all right, we were talking about it earlier. Majority of the chapter is a prayer. You can see, if you look at verse 1, Daniel praying, basically to the Most High, prayer of supplication to, to the Most High for mercy and things like that, being that they were, at that time, they were in captivity, right? The nation of Israel, we'll say the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi chiefly were in captivity. Under the Babylonians in that recent time, the power shift that had transitioned to the Medo-Persian Empire. So when you look at verse 20, matter of fact, if somebody can get verse 20 real quick.
Daniel 9:20.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, or Yahweh my power, for the holy mountain of my power, yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation.
Yeah, so the prayer that Daniel was praying, all right, was literally being answered, okay, in the midst of him praying and confessing his sins. You know what I mean? And Gabar Allah, that's one of the archangels of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So keep going.
God, verse 22. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, Daniel Allah, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth.
Yeah, so as soon as Daniel started praying, the Lord said, all right, go down there, you know what I'm saying? And give this understanding to Daniel that we're about to go into. Go ahead.
God, verse 23. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth, and I come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision.
Okay, now let's stop right there. And that's why I wanted to open up with 2 Timothy 2. All right, because basically the Lord, he's given us, he's given us very, very, deep things that basically the mysteries, like we're going to that word mysterion, things that are not revealed unto ordinary mortals. He's given us basically his counsel, which is a gift.
Right.
Okay. And that's only accessible through the Spirit of the Lord. So I just want to get this in 2 Timothy 2 and 15.
15?
Yeah, con.
All right. Did you already have it in mind? You got it, bro.
Yeah, this is 2 Timothy 2 and 15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh Shem Yahushua, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Yep. And that's that key point there. Well, all of it, but especially the last part, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, because like in Proverbs, the first chapter, it talks about dark sayings, basically giving subtlety to the simple. Us being able to and interpret these things is a gift. It's a gift from on high. So definitely take these things as a blessing. And when you look at it from the perspective of where Daniel was at, on the timeline of things, because everything is predestined. All right, according to Yahweh Shem Yahshua's timeline. All right, when you get basically a revelation like this of the future, like live and direct from the Lord, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at this time, again, Daniel was at the very beginning of that Medo-Persian, rulership. You know what I mean? Which is towards the end of his life. He started
Right, he's older.
you know what I mean? Like throughout the entire, basically the entire Babylonian Empire, he was on the scene, and he was an older man at this time. Okay, but he did receive this vision, or this this understanding. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into it. Verse 24.
Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city
Mm-hmm.
to finish the transgression and to make an end of sin.
We'll stop there because we have to take our time with this verse.
Mm.
I mean, we're only going into 4 verses, so it's going to take some precepts and things. But the 70 weeks, okay, when you look at a week, a week is my bad. A week is 7 days, right? So if you think 70 weeks, right, is 7 days, right? 7 times 70. So 7 times 70 is 490, right?
490.
Okay. Now, somebody get Baba Shah, that Genesis 29 and 27. And then also we can get that one, Numbers 14 and 34. But you get Genesis first.
Genesis 29 and 27. Fulfill her week, and we will give.
Actually, go up maybe like, a little bit, like just to give a little context. So just a couple verses and then there.
Verse 25. It said, "Then it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah."
Yeah, this is the account, when what was that? Jacob, he was working for Laban.
Right.
And he basically Laban, he was acting like he was gonna give his daughter Rachel,
Mhm.
but he actually gave Leah.
Mhm.
And so by the time that Jacob realized that it was Leah instead of Rachel, he had already dealt with her. You know what I'm saying? So obviously you keep reading.
Yeah. Verse 25, it says, "And it came to pass in that morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said unto Laban, What is this thou hast done unto me?"
Yeah, Jacob was like, damn, you made me work these 7 years, you know what I'm saying? Just to give me the wrong daughter, Go ahead.
He says, "What is this thou hast done to me? Did not I serve thee with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me?"
Yeah, go ahead.
And Laban said, "It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn."
Yeah, so Leah was older, so his reasoning behind it was that, Leah's older, so we're gonna give Leah first, even though that wasn't the agreement that he made.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Come, verse 26. And Laban said, "It is not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee also for the service which thou hast served with me yet 7 other years."
What's the point?
Yep, you see. So what's that? What did Laban mean when he said fulfill her week? Did
7 more years.
he said it in the same verse?
Yeah,
Look at that
right there.
You know what I mean? So that lets you know that a week and a year can be basically synonymous, is what I'm trying to make.
Yeah, it's many examples in the scriptures. What shows you is coded, like even the creation story.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It says 6 days, but that's really 6,000 years. So, you got to use discernment through the spirit. One, the spirit of the Lord got to be on you, but with that, you'll use discernment to have understanding that it's not talking about a single day.
Right.
I believe so.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 6. And the context of this is when the Lord, had the prophet Ezekiel to enact the type of siege that Jerusalem was about to undergo. It says Ezekiel 4 and 6. "And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year."
Mhm.
So prophetically speaking, a day is likened unto a year, just like we bring out Revelation 11 chapter all the time, speaking about the 3.5 day period.
Right.
We understand spiritually that's speaking about 350-year time period.
Mhm. Right. And Ezekiel was alluding to the law in Numbers the 24th chapter. I'm sorry, Numbers the 14th chapter.
What did you just read?
Oh, that was Ezekiel 4 and 6.
Yeah. So as far as the week, being a year thing. Did you think you should still get that one?
I mean, might as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's where Ezekiel pretty much got it from.
Mhm.
This is Numbers chapter 14, verse 34. And it says, "After the number of the days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise." Just as what the brother just brought out.
Exactly. Because you know, when you read up, it talks about how the Lord said he was going to have to, you know, wander in the wilderness for 40 years. Okay, so that basically we got the point. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Days can be equated into years, and weeks can also be equated unto years as well. Okay, so let's go back to.
Did you just read?
The number is 1434.
Mhm. Let's go back to
Daniel 9.
yeah, and you know, these are one of the lessons. Of course, you definitely want to take notes. It was the first time,
Yeah.
you know, getting the breakdown. So yeah, definitely if you're taking notes, make sure you get that Genesis 29 and 27 in the notes as well.
Just to add to your point that you just made, because it's very important because so-called Christians will bring this verse out and allude it to pretty much the latter days that we're in right now.
Mhm.
You know, that's their breakdown of this, you know, going into the 7-year tribulation, all of that bull BS.
Mhm.
You know, so it's important to write this stuff down because the so-called Christian will break this down very wrong. You know, this already took place in prophecy, what brothers are reading right now. You know,
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get this. The elder brought this up. It's a great point. So actually get the word for it was for week, right?
Yep.
All right, I'll get it real quick.
It'll be Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
Shabbat.
Number wide, yeah. All right, so the word here for week in that the scripture we've been getting is H7620 Shabawai, which says week 7. Okay, a period. Did we click on the same one?
Yep.
Okay, it says period of 7 days or years. Okay,
and there you go. There you
a
go.
period of 7 basically. You know, it could be days, a week, or years.
Yeah.
Okay, so that lets you know right there. You could even really translate it into 70 years. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's go back to where are we at in Daniel
9 and 24.
24. Okay, so start at the top of that verse 24 about Bashar again.
This is the book of Daniel 9 and 24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins.
Okay, now let's stop real quick. Again, we already established the amount of years. Okay, 70 times 7 is 490 years. Okay, that time period ultimately that the second temple was, you know, on the scene up until when Yahushua made that sacrifice and made that second temple obsolete. Okay, so continue. Well, okay, read it again from the top, Salaki, because I want to get yeah, go ahead and get that, and then somebody can hold Nehemiah chapter 2, as well as Ezra, the regular one, Ezra chapter 7.
I got Ezra here.
Okay. Yeah, and Nehemiah 2, you can just start at verse 1. And I do have a timeline here as well. Hold on, which one is the timeline? That one. Here we go. When you get Nehemiah 2, Bob, show you can read it.
Nehemiah 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine and gave it unto the king.
Right, and we know the story about how Nehemiah was a cupbearer for the king of you know, the Medo-Persian Empire, right? Go ahead.
He said, and I took up the wine and gave it to the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So he was basically, you know, explaining to Artaxerxes why you know he was feeling bad, right? And even when the power transfer occurred between the Babylonians and the Medo-Persian Empire, Jerusalem, was still desolate until the decree went out, which you're about to go into. Go ahead.
It says, verse 4, Nehemiah 2:4. Then the king said unto me, for what doest thou make request? So I prayed to the power of heaven. And I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou would have sent me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build.
And ultimately that request was granted. Okay. This timeline that I had loaded is just like not pulling up. Okay, I got it right here. I'm gonna just pull it because I'm screen sharing on my computer as well, brothers. But I wanted to get the year, which I believe it was like 440, around 444, when that was completed.
Yep.
Right. And then you can jump to yeah, exactly. All right, so I got it pulled up right here during Artaxerxes the first. I'm just showing my screen on this timeline. But
So brothers that are listening on the other, just pull it up to kind of track it for yourselves.
yeah,
I now is recording on his computer, so it's showing it for you brothers that are listening live. Just kind of pull it up for yourself to follow along.
yeah, and I probably should have got Ezra, chapter 6 and 7 first, because as we know about the history, Darius, Darius, he was the one that actually like allowed, for the temple to start, and then, Cyrus, it was multiple decrees, Cyrus and then Darius, and then, it took a period of years before Nehemiah came on the scene, and then the walls of the city were actually built up. Okay, because of course, first during Darius and Cyrus, during that time, and when you read in Ezra, which happened almost 100 years before this account that we just read in Nehemiah. That's why I didn't include it in it, because it's really Nehemiah really was this, when the walls of the city were built up. Okay, that was after the foundation of the temple was laid. You know what I mean? So that pretty much completed what we're reading here in Daniel 9:24, all right, with the beginning of that 70 weeks.
Right. You got Joshua and Zerubbabel that pretty much started it, and then Nehemiah and Ezra, they were the prominent figures of the finishing of it.
Exactly. So we don't really need to get Ezra because it we kind of passed over it already.
For sure.
But Nehemiah, you can read about it, the finishing of that, and Artaxerxes, being the contemporary Persian king. Okay, you can read about that in the book of Nehemiah. Okay, where did I want to go from there? Let's read Daniel 2. Verse 24 again.
Going back, this is Daniel chapter 9:24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy.
Right. And when it was the most holy anointed, Yahushua is the anointed, right? He's the Messiah, right? Well, that happened, during his lifetime and during ultimately his crucifixion. Okay, that ended that 70-week period, which is going to expound on more in verse 25. You can keep going.
All right, verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem.
Okay, let's stop there. Again, the going forth of that commandment was in Nehemiah, all right, chapter 2, okay, which we got here as well.
I got a quick precept just going into Messiah what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also in Second Ezra, which Ezra was around the time period of 400 and some change BC.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Second Ezra chapter 7, verse 26. It says, "Behold, the time shall come that these tokens, which I have told thee, shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, that now was withdrawn from the earth. And whosoever is delivered from the foresight of evil shall see my wonders. For my son Yahushua shall be revealed with those that be with him. And this again is going into the time where Yahushua came on the scene, started gathering
Mhm.
the disciples, which later became apostles.
That you in second Ezra 7?
In 28,
Okay, go ahead.
it says, "For my son shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they shall remain and rejoice with him 400 years."
Exactly.
You know, so like we going into Joshua and Zerubbabel was about 5 and some change.
Right.
Ezra and Nehemiah was about 4 and some change.
Mhm.
So about 400 some change years after that, that's when Yahushua came on the scene. So Ezra got a very similar prophecy to Daniel.
Mhm.
You know, a few similar prophecies to Daniel actually.
Yep.
You know,
That's right. That's right. Okay. So let's go back to Daniel 9 and 25. Can you read that again from the top?
God. Daniel chapter 9 and 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince,
Mhm.
shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks.
All right. So basic math, a score is 20. So 3 score is what? 60, right?
Mhm.
Okay. It says 3 score and 2, so that's 62.
Right.
Plus 7. 62 plus 7 is what? 69. Right? Am I tripping? No, that's it.
That's
All
it.
right, so that's 69. So 69 weeks. All right, which is ultimately that 438 years. Okay. When you go into the difference between the solar year and a prophetic year, it's a little bit different. All right, but when you do the math of prophetic years, it lines right up with what's being brought out here. Okay. And we already got Nehemiah 2. Let me see here. Can somebody get go ahead.
If I had also that week, it's really like 7 years, so you get that. Each week is like 7 years. So how you prove that is when Jacob was working for Laban.
We brought that out earlier. It's the spirit.
Yeah,
Yes, the spirit. Yep,
Everybody
yep.
started off with that, you know. Can you finish that verse about
Mhm.
yourself?
Going back, Daniel 9 and 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times.
Can somebody hold Luke 21 and 20? Baba Shah. And then also Jeremiah 17 and 1. All right, because immediately, well, very shortly after Yahushua's crucifixion, all right, those troublous times, all right, were right around the corner, all right, which Yahushua prophesied of when he was still alive, when he was on the scene. Okay. Whoever got Luke 21 can get it real quick.
Luke 21 and verse 20.
Mm-hmm. And you can start up. This is synonymous with Matthew 24, which we get all the time. Yahushua prophesies about 70 AD in Matthew 24, and in this chapter.
Well, even just to go back to that as well, because even it's going into the building of the second temple.
Mm-hmm.
As we were building the second temple, we were being troubled by those heathen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask if I may. What I'm saying, if I could bring that out really quick. But this is a second Ezra, the 4th chapter. I'm sorry, I said second Ezra. This was Ezra chapter 4, because as we were building, those heathen troubled us as we were building. So this is Ezra chapter 4, and I'll just read really quick, starting at the top. But it says, "Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord Yahweh of Israel, then came to Jerusalem to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do. And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Assyria or Ashur, which brought us up hither." And you can bring that account up, in 2 Kings, the 19th chapter, 37th verse around there. All right. But it says, "But Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chiefs of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto Yahweh God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, hath commanded us." Because again, it was him that initially gave the decree to do it. And this is the point in verses 4 and 5. "Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building, and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even unto the reign of Darius, king of Persia." So we stopped building for a while. And Jake tried to pretty much use it as, well, the scriptures does say 70 years, but it's only 65 years. So that's why they kind of stopped, you know, but it was those heathen, you know, that pretty much wrote those letters to get us to stop building, you know, going into that. So they troubled us as we were building, but eventually we were still able to build after they troubled us.
And what chapter was that you just read?
That was in Ezra, the 4th chapter.
Ezra 4. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And when you get Ezra 7, basically that in the verse 11, you know, that the decree, you know, that King Artaxerxes gave, that's when that continued on. Okay. The water. And that's actually correct, because I kind of skipped over that a little bit, but during that building process, you know, of like you said, you know, the city of Jerusalem and even just the walls, you know, Jake was catching hell to the point where, you know, like you said, it had to be paused. That's where you get the book of Haggai and Zechariah
Absolutely.
during that time. You know, but ultimately it did get completed, right? And go ahead, Eisenhower.
All right. Daniel 9, when we read 25 again.
Yes.
All right. Daniel 9:25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times.
So not just the temple itself, the foundation of the temple, which was built first, then the temple was built, then basically the city was surrounded, because you're still susceptible to attacks unless you got that wall surrounded by your, you know, surrounded around your city. So once that was completed, that starts this this time period of the 69 weeks. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off.
Okay, so now we're fast forwarding, all right, towards the end of that time period, all right, where Yahushua was on the scene and ultimately was, you know, he finished his course, you know, and that 69 weeks was fulfilled. All right, now, I want to get that Luke, Luke 21.
20.
Yes.
Sorry, to the point.
Let's read verse 26 a little bit first, and then we'll get it. Go ahead, Azamar.
Oh, Daniel 9 again.
Did you can you finish the verse in verse 26?
Yeah, Daniel 9:26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolation are determined.
Right. So when you get into the history, we'll read about it. Get this here, and then what was the other one? Revelation 12, and I think 15.
Okay.
Go ahead and get that.
Luke 21 and 20 says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not. Then started verse 15.
Buckle Rashad, if I can add, it's like it. But when you read as previous stated, you know, how it's mentioned also in Daniel the 24th chapter, Matthew the 24th chapter, you know, Yahushua, you know, honed in and told the disciples, make sure y'all understand this prophecy.
Right.
What Daniel, the prophet, you know, spoke about.
Yeah, we can get Matthew's account as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark 13 is a beautiful account as well, too.
You want me to get that first?
If you have it already.
Yeah, I got it right. It's Matthew chapter 24 and verse 15. It says, this is Yahushua speaking. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand.
Yeah, and that abomination of desolation can only be talking about that 70 AD time period when Esau, all right, basically destroys, you know, the second temple. Because at that time, you got to think, like all of the promises and everything that we have worked towards as a nation centered around our connection, you know, that we had to the Most High, all right, which was at that time, it was the temple. All right, the sacrifices, you know, the covenants that we had, you know, was all, you know, that was the center of it all. Okay, until Yahushua came, of course.
Yeah, they're falling away as well. That was the time of the falling away the scriptures talks about. That's what that's going into too.
Yeah, because it happened. It's happened at the same time. We had to flee the city. You know what I mean? So, you know, It all happened at the same time. Uh, keep going on that. Bumper shot.
Oh, Matthew 24.
Did you read verse 16?
Yeah, I'll read it. Let me go back to like. So going back here to Matthew 24 and verse
I got it right here.
okay, I got it right here. Yeah. Verse 16, it says, Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Yeah, you see, because again, it was a very perilous time.
Right.
Okay. When you go into the detail, we might get a little bit of details on, the different sieges that the Flavian dynasty did, during that time period. It was some hardcore shit. Like basically they were starving, starving the people out with blockades, like preventing anybody from coming in or going out of the city. So obviously resources became depleted.
Cannibalism came into effect too.
Cannibalism came into effect. It was a whole lot of stuff.
A lot of Jacobs killing their kids. You had the Sicarii that were kind of like a major role within that taking place as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're being overly zealous, which caused a lot of them and their families to be killed. And a lot of them killed their families off and killed themselves afterwards. That way they weren't subject unto the Roman Empire.
Crazy work.
And I got that the curse of that Deuteronomy.
Bumper shop. We get that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, I started verse 49. The Lord shall bring nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle fly. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation that was in obviously Roman Empire, their symbol was the eagle.
Mm-hmm.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee neither corn, wine, or oil for the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep until he have destroyed thee.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy power hath given thee. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own bodies, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy power hath given thee in the siege.
And that was fulfilled under the Babylonians too.
Mm-hmm.
There was multiple instances in the scriptures where cannibalism was taking effect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those examples as well that the elders reading. But as far as what Yahushua was talking about here in in Matthew 24:19, woe unto them that are with child. Imagine trying to, even if you didn't turn to cannibalism, but your baby starving. You know what I'm saying? You don't got the nowhere to live, so you and your baby out in the cold. You know what I'm saying? And so it was definitely heavy, hardcore time. Okay. But they was told, Yahushua look, flee into the mountains. You know what I mean? And the parallel with that one is that Luke 21. Oh, sorry, get that.
Luke 21, and you can start up.
I was gonna say verse when is the point? But dang, you know what? Yeah, you low key do gotta just get straight to the point on this one. And you can read down. Yeah, just get 20 and we'll read down with it.
This is Luke 21:20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not.
Yeah, because Jerusalem was compassed with armies, but it was kind of like unexpected, at the time that Yahushua was saying it, because they had when you go I know y'all brought up when y'all did the lesson First Maccabees 8, that pact that was made from a while, like during the during the Grecian Empire times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There was, Judea became a province, of the then Roman Republic, which now at this time was the Roman Empire. So they had a long lasting history, you know, with the Romans.
There was a few times where it kind of broke in the midst of that history, but it kind of continually got renewed.
Exactly.
You know, which eventually you get, you know what I'm saying, what's it called? This, you know, the Pharisees is the Sanhedrin, where they were trying to preserve those ways of the Maccabees and such,
Exactly.
and keep that league that they had with Rome, like you could read it in John the 11th chapter, just to add to your point, brother.
That's right. That's right. You know, which we'll get the John. I think we should get that John 11.
I think it's important for sure.
Yeah, we'll get that next.
I'll hold it.
Okay. Can you, what verse you at?
Verse 21.
Okay, just finish verse 21 and then verse 21 and 22, and then we'll get to John.
Luke 21 and 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance.
Because you gotta remember, even during the time of like Acts, like it was a repetitive thing for Israel that, you know, wanted to give sacrifice and, you know, pay their tithes to go to Jerusalem.
Mhm.
I was like, look, during that time, nah, it's over with. You know what I mean? Because that period is over. Okay, of, you know, the physical you know, sacrifice. Now, all right, that third temple being raised up, which, you know, that spiritual house that was that in Second Peter
First Peter chapter
2, yeah.
Mhm.
First Peter 2 talks about, you know, that Yahushua ushered in that time. Okay, so he's letting it be known. All right, you know, when you see these things, when you see Jerusalem come pass around with armies, then know that the desolation of it is right there.
Yeah. Hey, just to add to your point, Anna, that's why, you know, back then it was very heavy, because if you was into those prophecies, and you would know those time periods to look out for. Like when Yahushua came on the scene, you know, the prophecy in Ezra stated 400 or some years later, he would eventually come. So it makes sense why the disciples were so eager to look for Yahushua, because they was into those prophecies. They was into those prophecies in Daniel, which Yahushua, of course, further expounded on it. But if you weren't in tune with these prophecies, you was through.
Yeah.
That's why if you didn't listen to what Yahushua said about fleeing into the mountains, you were taken by those Romans and made a slave. You know, you was through. So taking heed to the prophets is key, you know, because you're going to be through. You out of there if you ain't listening to the prophets, you know?
That's right. And, you know, they didn't have the level of autonomy that they did, like coming back into the land after the Babylonian exile. You know, Israel didn't have like, you know, no big ass army.
No.
You know what I mean? To where they could war against them, like, you know what I mean? Like that. I mean, you know, you had the Maccabean revolt where it was even then it tells you how many men. It was a very, very small number of men that the Lord was, you know, dealing through them. But we damn sure couldn't carnally go to war with the Romans, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't have no choice. All right, but to go through that hell we went through, which we'll get into it. Can you finish verse 22? Did you read it already?
I ain't get to it.
All right.
Get to it. This is Luke 21 and verse 22. It says, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written be fulfilled.
Right. And the things that were written aforetime is what we're going into. Of course, it's for our learning. And that's what we're going into right now. Okay. Bob Prashad, can you get that John 10:11? Excuse me.
This is the book of John, chapter 11, verse 48. And this took place after Lazarus rose from the dead. You know, they was like, oh, snap. Yo, if everybody hear about this, then they're going to believe him to be the king. You know, and this is what I'm about to read is pretty much afterwards. So John 11 and 48 says,
verse 47. Sorry.
47, no problem. John 11 and 47, it says, then gathered the chief priests and Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 48. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nations and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perisheth not. For this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but that also he should gather together the children of the Most High that were scattered abroad. Yeah, he prophesied on accident
Yeah.
because he knew they wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
You know, so they're like, you got it now.
No, that's beautifully tied into what we're going into in this Daniel 9 because, of course, when you get the first half of that interaction, when we get to it real quick, using John 11, it talked about if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. Basically saying like, look, if we let this thing go, unhindered, if we don't try to put our influence on and try to stop this thing, all right, everybody gonna end up because they're gonna see the miracles. He was actually doing them.
Yep.
Okay. And then they said, what? The Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. So they were, the province of Judea, it was a province of the Roman Empire.
Right.
It was a tributary, that's why that scripture where it talks about I'll read it myself in Matthew 22. Okay. And 21. I'll start at verse 15. It says, then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk. It says, and they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, and teachest the way of the Most High in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, meaning he wasn't a respecter of persons. For thou regardest not the person of men. Right? It says, tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Okay. So what was Yahweh's response to this? Okay, it says, because basically, obviously, the Pharisees were trying to get Yahushua to look like he was, saying blasphemous things. You know what I mean? So they tried to set him up in situations to where he either contradict himself or look like he was transgressing the law. Right? Verse 18 says, but Yahushua perceived their wickedness and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. Okay, and they brought unto him a penny, and he said unto them, whose is this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then said he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things that which are Caesar's, because the money that they were talking about was, all the Caesars had what's the name, their image and their inscription on every coin that was out, just like how you got today. Okay, so he said, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, which lets you know he wasn't against them paying the tribute money. You know what I mean? Because just for the maintenance of the and the stability of them being a province. He wasn't really saying rebel, but the Spirit of the Lord had them to rebel.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And end up getting jacked up. All right. It says, and unto the Most High the things that are the Most High's. Okay. So just a little precept on that.
Kind of just to back up to that point, what was read here in John 11, as it said, Caiaphas prophesied. He literally prophesied a true prophecy because that eventually happened. And when it went into how his word was going to be scattered abroad to those scattered abroad, that took place in the time of the Acts, where his fame even went forth, more. And then a little bit after that time, Jerusalem was eventually sieged. You know what I'm saying? So it still happened. That's why it said Caiaphas prophesied about it. They killed Yahushua. His word, as the scripture says in John 9, as the corn is in the soil, it'll duplicate itself. That's exactly what took place, which is where you had the Acts. Jerusalem was eventually sieged still by the Romans. And you have this word being brought out today, which another siege is eventually coming. But Caiaphas prophesied about that because that actually happened, He prophesied about the fall of Jerusalem pretty much.
Okay. I'm looking here. Okay. Who was reading? Was that Mark that was reading? Oh no, no. I wanted to go back to Daniel.
Okay, yeah.
Daniel 9.
All right. This is going back here.
Daniel 9, and you can read verse 26 again.
All right.
Of course, you're gonna volunteer to read Daniel.
And then we can get that revelation.
Daniel 9:26. Again, it says, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And it says, and the people of the prince that shall.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off again. Not for himself, of course, he died for the sins of Israel, which we just read in that Daniel, I'm sorry, in that what was that? In that John 11.
John.
I think it might say it somewhere else as well. I think, does it say it in Acts 5?
Acts 5 and 29, starting in 29.
Want to get a quick one, really quick, to
Yeah.
back that up?
Go.
I said John 9, but it's really John 8, what I meant to quote.
Okay.
This is John chapter 8, verse 6, because it says not for himself only, but it says John 8 and 6. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. I just thought that was it.
John 12.
Yeah, John 12, the water. It was John 12. My man, I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, so this is the book of John 12 verse. I'm sorry, nah, you got it, brother.
Yeah, no, well, I was gonna get this real quick and while you look for that in Acts 5.
Are you want me to get Acts 5?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You said
yeah.
29?
Yes. And your verse, bro, is John 12 and 24.
Kind for water, for water.
It's, Acts 5 and 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua rather than men.
There you go.
The God of our fathers raised up Yahushua, whom you slew and hanged on a tree. Him hath the Most High exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins.
Right. So that's going into the water, brother. To give repentance to Israel, that's going into being cut off, but not for himself. You know, he did it for Israel's sake, right? And then Shar, you got yours?
Yeah, this is John 12 and 24. Start at 23. And Yahushua answered them, saying, the hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. So not only for himself, but for the people.
Right.
That's
right. That's right. Yep. And you gotta cast yourself. You gotta cast off the ways of this flesh. All right, and focus on pleasing the Lord if you want to bear forth fruit. Okay. And that's why it goes on to say, he that loveth his life shall lose it. So we follow in after that same stead. We love not our lives unto the death. Okay. And okay, so after we finish this in Daniel 9 and 26, we'll get Revelation 12 and 15.
Daniel 9 and 26 again. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
Right. So there was a war period, all right, during the Flavian dynasty. Okay. What was the name of that war? I know Apostle Roman said it.
Sodom.
No, just the Jewish-Roman War.
Oh, the Jewish-Roman
Yeah.
War. Okay.
So there's the official name for it is you can look it up more. We're just gonna pull it up on Wikipedia real quick. All right, but the Jewish-Roman Wars, reading off Wikipedia, it says the Jewish-Roman Wars were a series of large-scale revolts by the Judeans against the Roman Empire. Okay, between 66 and 135 AD. All right, it says this conflict was driven by Jewish aspirations to restore the political independence lost when Rome conquered the Hasmonean kingdom and unfolded over 3 major uprisings. So that first major uprising is this is what we're talking about. And that's classified as the first Jewish-Roman War. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to that verse again where it says the people of the prince. That's talking about the Flavian dynasty, those Romans, specifically Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. All right, they were the ones that were representing the Roman side of the Jewish-Roman War.
Do you mind if I add to that real quick? I know as well, because naturally, first and foremost, that prince represents Satan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it goes to show you that, the Flavian dynasty, those Romans were coming after the working of Satan. As you read it in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, those Romans are coming after that working. Yeah. I remember Apostle Gabar did a lesson on that some years ago going into that, which makes a lot of sense. Because even when you go into that word Flavian and break it down, it's translated yellow or blonde. You know what I'm saying? It goes to show you, though, them Edomites right there, Titus, Vespasian, and Domitian. Those Edomites, are of the seed of Satan. You know what I'm saying? Not just them solely, but it's within their fucking name. The Flavian dynasty. You know?
Can I get a precept for you?
Yeah, go ahead. And if it's not Ephesians 2, can somebody hold that, please?
Okay,
The next one.
God. It's John 14:30. It's Yahweh Shai. He says, "Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh and have nothing in me."
There you go.
And when you get this word prince in the Greek, the Thayer's Greek lexicon, it's archon, right? And
Hold on, Slocky, not to cut you off. What words you going into?
prince.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, and the Thayer's Greek lexicon says a ruler, commander. Let me skip down. It says, here we go. Yep, the ruler of the irreligious mass of mankind.
Yeah, the ruler of this, of this Roman Empire that we're going into.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ultimately was driven or inspired by Satan, we'll say.
Right.
Who, Esau is his physical counterpart, so he was doing the workings of Satan on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that's all Satan wants to do is, jack us up.
He wants to defile the temple.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like our body reps temple. He wants to still defile it here in these last days.
Exactly.
That's why the Apostle Paul said in 2 Thessalonians 2, for the mystery of iniquity is already.
There you go. There you go.
Well, I'm sorry, bro. Where did you get that definition that you said?
Flavian?
No.
Oh,
for the word prince.
Prince, that was the Thayer's Greek lexicon. So
Okay.
kind of like almost all the way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get that the one that I asked for. Oh, Ephesians 2
Let's go.
and 2. Okay. Yeah.
It's Ephesians 2, verse 2. It says, "Wherein in the time past."
Yeah. Following shot, my bad.
Verse 1, Ephesians 2 and 1, it says, "And you has he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sins."
Right. Now, this is a letter written to the believers, all right, in the church of Ephesus, all right, the believers in Yahushua, okay, quicken being meaning to be made alive, all right, spiritually, because we were spiritually dead, which is going to go into, go ahead.
Verse 2, "Wherein in time past ye walked accordingly to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience."
Yeah, you see, so ultimately Satan, the prince of this world, the prince of the power of the air is Satan. Okay, and so Esau, that's his whole power sources and left hand wicked energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the eagle, the eagle, that flies, soars higher than all the other birds right there.
Because even when you go into now, you mention that I know it's I'm gonna just mention it in 2nd Ezra 11. All right, and the end of that chapter,
I had a hell too, but I did have a hell, so
my mind, I don't got no problem with it. Bro. Yeah,
God.
just the point where, like I said, like the last couple verses where it mentions the Flavian dynasty.
Yeah, we're talking about with the 3 heads, how the second set of it emerged.
Yes, sir.
I definitely had that hell. I didn't know if you wanted,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'll go and start at chapter 11, verse 28.
Okay.
It says, and unless you wanted another part of that chapter, but this goes into that, to the 3 heads that came at the end.
Okay.
Which is the Flavian dynasty.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
And then we'll drop down to
where he's breaking it down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
2nd Ezra chapter 11, verse 28. "And I beheld, and lo, the 2 that remaineth," it says, "thought also in themselves to reign. And when they so thought, behold, there awakened one of the heads that were at rest."
Yeah, I'm talking about just talking about 69 AD, the year of the 4 emperors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You had Galba, Otho, what's the other one?
Vitellius
and Vespasian.
Yep, there you go. Which Vitellius was actually a Jake, but it's a year of the 4 emperors for a reason. Now, I ain't mentioned like he's a good Jake because you had the 3 good emperors that came later on. But just to add to that point, a lot of Jake don't know Vitellius was actually a Jake.
Yeah, and then that 2 that remained is talking about Vitellius and Vespasian. Those were the last 2 of that 4 of that year of the 4 emperors. They're the last 2 left. Go ahead, bro.
God, it says
Who did you say it was?
Vitellius.
Yeah, I know
2 that remain.
Yeah, the 2 that remain were Vitellius and Vespasian. So Vitellius and Vespasian actually went to war with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This was in 69 AD. This is all during the same time because Vespasian, which we're going to go into, Vespasian, who was an Edomite, he was a Roman general.
Yep.
Okay, he was a man of war.
Mhm.
Okay, and basically he got into power because he defeated the other men of war. You know, and he was basically the main one left. He was the strongest one left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which cements this prophecy right here because it goes into these three heads that emerged, you know, the second settlement.
Connor, we'll go into it. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It says it was in the midst for that was greater than the two other heads, which went into what you just said.
Well, if I may, the
Mhm.
three heads is going into the Flavian dynasty itself.
Right. Yeah. No, I guess I said what you just said because pretty much the last two heads was fighting against each other.
Mhm.
You know those feathers I'd rather
Yeah, the
say.
last two feathers.
So like at the water, I worded it wrong. The water.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna actually jump down to let's see here. I mean,
Well,
what is that verse?
2 is good.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
2 is good. Yeah.
So this is back in Second Ezra chapter 11, verse 32. And it says, but this head put the whole earth in fear and bear rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth with much oppression.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been.
Right. So the Roman Empire was at austere moment in history. You know, they're coming off of the heels of hella turmoil. There was basically a civil war within the Roman Empire. Okay, and it was high levels of oppression that was going out. Again, this was at the same time you had a revolt that was stirring up. You know what I mean? You know how when rulership gets weak, that's when the provinces start trying to revolt,
Right.
and, separate themselves, right? So this is all during that same time, and that was the specific point. Unless you have something else you want to get wrong.
Yeah, just to add to your point, when you read Second Ezra 11, this whole chapter is going into a time period in Rome that's called Pax Romana.
Mhm.
It goes into those 12 Caesars and such like that.
Mhm.
But ironically enough, the word pax, which means peace, where you get the word pact from,
Mhm.
they were barely even at peace. They was fighting one another, doing a bunch of hoe ass stuff, Edomite stuff, to have the upper hand over their predecessor.
Mhm.
That's all I was gonna say on that.
Okay. All right, that's good. Verse 42 is also a good one I was looking at, but that's pretty much it that I wanted out of that. And then we can go back again in verse 26, Azawath.
Okay.
All right, read it all the way down. And then we're gonna get Revelation 12. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 9 and 26 again, it says, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the prince and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
Right. Okay, again, going into that first Jewish Roman war. Okay. So this is also talked about in Revelation chapter 12 specifically. So we want to get that prophecy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the 62 weeks. What exactly is it?
In which verse?
Just
I'm sorry.
Daniel 9 and 26. And after 62 weeks.
what is that?
That's basically the time period that Yahushua was on the scene up until he got crucified. Yeah. Because it talks about in the previous verse, it talks about the 62 weeks and 7 weeks. That's the 69 weeks or 430 years, which is that whole time period of the second temple being on the scene.
Right.
And Yahushua's crucifixion basically it was the cutoff of that 438 year or that 69 week period. Okay, it just says 62 weeks is
Right.
the end of that 69 week or 438 year period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so then when it talks about the sanctuary being destroyed, the city being destroyed, again, going into that 70 AD. So I wanted to get that. Whoever got that in Revelation 12 and 15.
Yeah, this is Revelation 12 and 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
You see? So that lets you know that correlation of a flood being talked about
There you go.
of basically judgment, which we can get that word for flood. I'll get it real quick.
Man.
And you can read up
I got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it said Potamos, stream, river, torrent, floods, brook. Was it something specific you wanted?
No, I was looking to see if there was anything on there. Yeah, it doesn't give.
Well, an enemy shall come like a flood.
That's
The
that's.
scriptures constantly talk about enemies being like a flood. That's multiple times, so they can represent the enemy coming.
Well, it says in the Greek lexicon, figuratively equivalent to the greatest abundance of something. So a mass, army. You know what I mean? High level, high number of troops surrounding the city. You know what I mean? Coming in like a flood. Okay, an abundance of troops. Okay, and
Just as an example, when you read it in Isaiah, the 28th chapter, going into in the days with the Lord, he likens it to Perism. You know what I'm saying? And it's, when you go into that word Perism, and he says, I might as well just bring it, if I may.
yeah, you got it, bro.
I don't want to just be talking and shit.
It's a lot. It's a lot of history. You know what I mean? Trying to pack it in one lesson, but
Yeah.
let me help you look for it, bro.
When it's brought out, Jacob will be like, hey, that makes sense. Isaiah 28 and 21.
Yep.
All right. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 21, because he's using an account in history when he mentions Perism. But it says, for the Lord shall rise up as in Mount Perism, and shall be wroth as the valley of Gibeon. And pretty much what took place in Perism, that's when the armies of David came and subdued those Philistines. And he likens it to a breach. Like when a breach is cracked and opens up, water comes out. It's like a flood. So just another example going into that flood and how that does represent militaries. When you look at the account of what took place in Mount Perism, that actually was likened to a flood as we subdued those Philistines.
So tying all of that in with the where it says the end in Daniel 9 and 26. We're not done in that Revelation 12 yet, but where it says the end of thereof shall be with a flood, okay, is going into that time period of war, and heavy oppression of troops. Okay. So can we go back to that in Revelation 12? We could just read one more time.
Revelation 12 and 15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman.
And who's that serpent? That old serpent, the devil, Satan, Esau. Okay, specifically during the Roman Empire. Okay, when he was put in hell on Judah, Benjamin, and Levi specifically. Okay, which is that woman. Okay.
Yeah, in that very chapter, Salaki, he describes it as a dragon. It's a serpent, it's a dragon, but it said the red dragon, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. And it described it as the kingdom under Herod that would take down, that would try to take the Haushai out. So
it even goes into that.
Yeah, Herod was literally an Edomite historian. So this is talking about Esau.
At the end of the day.
Yep. So did you finish that verse?
It says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
Yeah, and that was the point I wanted, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood to the point where Israel was just utterly taken out, to the point where we didn't have no resting place anymore. You know what I mean? We didn't have no sovereign land mass that we could, say, all right, this is our land where we can live. Basically, we were scattered. We all became Israelite foreigners at this point in history. Okay.
Are you following away?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Micah 4 and 10. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. It's linking back to Revelation 12. It says, for now shalt thou go forth out of the city. And what city is that talking about? Jerusalem. Okay, and this is when it occurred during the time of 70 AD, the Roman-Jewish war. It says, and thou shalt dwell in the field. Okay, we were scattered to the utmost parts of the earth, the 4 corners of the earth. And thou shalt go even to Babylon, which is where we're at now. There shalt thou be delivered. There shall Yahweh, Bashim al-Shah, redeem thee from the hand of thy enemies. Just bring that out, because the starting point of that was 70 AD. And now here we are in America, Babylon the Great.
That's right. Okay. And I wanted the last verse is 27, so we can broke everything down to verse 26. We just get the last verse is verse 27.
Daniel 9:27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
Right. So when you get that, hold on, I got so many damn tabs. Hold on, let me X out of these. Organize myself a little bit. All right. When you get that where it says he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Okay, basically, us being able to sacrifice, all right, us being able to have that state of existence, all right, it was it was tolerated, all right, up until we ended up getting cut off and infiltrated by the Flavian dynasty. Okay, so this time period of basically 66 AD up until 73 AD, we'll say.
Yeah.
That's that week, okay, that that time period that we was allowed, basically the very end of us being in the land, all right, before the temple was destroyed, because it says in the midst of the week, which 70 AD, right in between 66 and 73, during the middle of that 7-year time period of the first Jewish-Roman War, all right, Jerusalem specifically was infiltrated, okay, and the second temple was destroyed, okay, but that conflict lasted for 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because you got somebody mentioned that the siege of Masada, that was after the second temple was destroyed, but Jake was still fighting, you know what I mean? So that's what this time period is talking about, that 1 week.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So this verse 27, this is ultimately completing the 490-year time period, because before this, it's kind of like verse 26.
Yeah, it says
It's from the building of the walls until Yahweh Shai. That's 483 years. And then this last verse is that final week.
Yep.
The last 70.
That
Okay.
last week.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And it says, and in the midst of the week, right, from 66 to 73, that was that week, but 70 AD was, we said all the time,
During that time.
that was in the middle of that.
Literally in the middle.
You know what I mean? That was when it says he shall cause the sacrifice and the the oblation to cease. Why did it cease? Because even though Yahushua was crucified in 33 AD more or less, right? And he basically made the need of a physical sacrifice, that was transferred into the spiritual sacrifices that we do now. Okay, that actual destruction of the temple didn't happen until a few decades later with 70 AD. Okay, and so that's what it says. That's what it means when it says he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Okay, we read it earlier with what was that in Daniel? We're talking about in the beginning of the top of Daniel 9 in the chapter, around the time of the daily oblation. Well, the oblation was, I think it was the evening oblation. It said twice a day. Sacrifices was constantly being made to the Lord every single day.
I got a precept for you.
Go ahead.
Micah 3:12. Therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of the forest. And this is the prophet Michael prophesying in 70 AD.
Right. Matter of fact, good. Can you get somebody can get Jeremiah 17 as well? That'll be the last precept that I have.
Yeah, I got a quick one, real quick, while Jay was
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this verse was brought out in Luke 24 when it was read earlier, but I'll go on and read Luke 21 and verse 24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations, which is what took place to us. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles will be fulfilled. So during that time period, you would have Gentiles occupy it, even until this day. Those small heads that are over there,
Yep, exactly. And it's heavy, man, when you go into the history. It's really the lowest point, one of the saddest. I can't think of a sadder point in history. You know what I mean? Like when you look at just Jake, like just being completely brought low. You know what I mean? Obviously, slavery, you know, there's plenty of other low points we done had, of course, but this one was a really big deal because we was removed out of the land and we haven't been able to return back since.
Yep, and that was told to Solomon
Mm-hmm.
that basically if he went off, eventually he was gonna kick us out of that land. So they can build that too.
Con,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I got a precept.
Okay, go ahead, and this will get whoever got Jeremiah 17.
This is the book of Psalm 74. You know, this is a song of Asaph, and when you go into this this chapter, this psalm, this is really, you know, the Lord, you know, giving him a prophecy of the vision of the destruction of the temple, the abomination of desolation. Psalm 74, and verse 3, it says, "Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thy enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They set up their ensigns for signs." And when you go into that word ensigns, you know, it goes into like a banner, you know, a standard, which that's exactly what, you know, the Romans did after they sacked, you know, our temple, destroyed it. Okay, they had something called the Arch of Titus. That's their ensigns.
Yeah.
And Trump is trying to fill the order.
Yeah, you know, you even have these you know, tiny caps over there in the land that they saying they trying to build the third temple, you know, which is the third temple is spiritual. There's not gonna be no need for you know, going back to the old way.
A red heifer.
Yeah, yeah.
That they gonna get from Texas. That's what they say.
Damn, bro.
They said that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's not gonna be no need to go back to that because we have Yahushua. All right, anybody that don't believe on Yahushua, they're still gonna be trying to cleave onto them old ways, which that's pretty much what they was doing. The individuals of our nation that was rebelling against the Roman Empire, they were trying to hold on to the old way, and they held on all the way into a sinking ship unto their deaths. Okay, which is why, you know, Yahushua warned, which we already covered it, but this is why Yahushua warned our people of what was going to come beforehand, so that way when it came to pass, they knew what to do. Okay,
That's why the prophets are important.
Absolutely.
Better listen.
that's right.
Finish 27.
Yes, Baba Kusha.
Daniel 9:27. "And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate."
Right now, I do want to get this verse in the NLT just for comprehension's sake. I'll read it. I got it here. It says Daniel 9:27 in NLT. The ruler will make a treaty with the people for a period of one set of 7, which is that 7-year period. But after half this time, he will put an end to the sacrifices and offerings. All right, 70 AD. It says, and as a climax to all his terrible deeds, he will set up a sacrilegious object that causes desecration.
Yep.
Okay, because you know, when you look at all of the riches that was taken out of the city, taken out, you know, from the temple, all those things that were brought out, which was shown in the Ark of Titus, that was right. You know, shortly after those, you know, that war, the Roman Colosseum was built. All right, basically Rome was expanded, and it was known to be at its height. You know, it was expanding its territories, but it was able to you know, flaunt its riches after that. Okay, and you still have the Roman Colosseum standing today. You know what I mean? You still have the Ark of Titus standing today as sacrilegious objects.
Right.
You know, that remind us of that time period.
They're all over. They're all around.
They call that Colosseum one of the 7 greatest wonders in the world.
Yep, exactly.
Based on our downfall.
Con. You know what I mean? So, and it says, until the fate decreed for this defiler is finally poured out on him, which we're in those times today. You know, Esau's fate of being brought down, okay, his sins being stacked up into heaven, the Lord's going to reward her double unto all her works. The Lord hasn't forgot about all the shit that he's done during the Grecian Empire, during the Roman Empire. All right, and during this time, all right, it's all going to come crashing down on him, all right, according to the scriptures.
You know what's crazy? That's why I said the mark upon his ass. Go back to Genesis.
Yeah.
You know where he had it all the time.
He's the man of sin, the borders of wickedness.
I got this real quick.
Go ahead.
I just typed in on the Google. It says the silver denarius, which is the Roman coin, featuring an embossed profile of the Emperor Vespasian and the words Caesar Vespasianus, was struck in 69 to 70 AD. The coin shows a mourning female, it says Jewish woman, Israelite woman, seated under a palm tree or trophy.
So, like, what's the name of that coin?
The silver denarius,
Okay.
Judea capta.
We captured Judah.
Yeah, you can read about that in the book called Madden's Jewish Coinage, which you're going into right there. And even on that page that goes into that, it titles it Princes of Edom, with all those images of the Flavian kings of the Flavian dynasty on the coin. It says Princes of Edom on there.
I never heard of that book.
Madden's Jewish Coinage.
You okay?
Yeah,
It was years ago. Years ago, I went into it some years ago.
yeah, y'all used to go into this book. He didn't found one y'all ain't found. Angels on.
Yeah.
Years
This
ago.
is these are the coin. The coin. This is what the coin look like right here. Just to show you, brothers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The one that you talking about. That's represent Judea weeping. The woman weeping for getting the temple ransacked. That's the woman right there. And Esau standing over with palm trees. Palm represent victory.
Yeah.
And a damn Edomite right here. Who was this? Oh, this is Vespasian. Isn't it? Yeah. Damn, you can't tell me that is not a fucking Edomite. So
You might make some coins and stuff.
Did y'all ever come to the cloisters, man?
Yeah.
Y'all used to come visit with us.
Yeah.
We used to speak out there. Y'all,
I think I went.
y'all inside.
No.
So I guess we got to make another trip to New York, man.
Yeah, we got AI now. We don't need the books. I'm fucking around.
Yeah, the museum itself, I gotta actually go.
Oh, okay.
Well, who knows, man? They might have changed shit around. But
Yeah.
the inside, the goddamn museum, saying
Yeah.
it's an actual medieval castle that they
Years ago.
actually brought it over here to and they put so they say they put artifacts from the it's a medieval time of dark ages, and that was all Jake. And we got stuff in there that blows your mind, man.
So what?
Back in the 90s, we saw Apostle Hart used to go there, and we got like a suit of armor in there. It was from one of them African knights from back during that time, so-called Dark Ages. He saw medieval times, Dark Ages. They had a suit of armor, and you could tell men were bigger back then. Because the shit was at least over 6 feet tall. And they got it inside of a glass case. And I guess whoever that particular Jake was, that was his personal suit of armor,
Yeah.
But all over, he had images of himself put on the bro, and there's no denying. It's a dark-skinned dude, woolly hair, afro, a chick. So he had his image put that, depending on what your wealth was, he wanted his shit. He wanted you to know who the fuck he was. Whoever that chick Knight was. You know what I mean? It's right there. It's all up in there.
Right.
And then they had a thing where you walk, the building is big, like it's like a doorway, right? Like it's like that doorway, but the shit was like, I want to say 8 feet tall. And the dresser, so that go to show you that we decreased in
stature.
We decreased in still, we're midgets. Compared to our ancestors, we're midgets.
Yeah.
Even the Dark Ages, that's like about 1,000 years ago, 800, people were bigger. Were bigger, man. Like little midgets.
Yeah.
If we popped up in the ancient world, they would think we were like little infants.
Yeah. It's close. God. Yeah, because the scripture talking about how we're of lesser stature than those that came before us, in Second Ezra. So, basically we've been in a dilapidated state. All right. Of course, before this time, but especially since then, now we have no choice. Like the scriptures say, "Fear not thy worm, Jacob." Like we gotta embrace the fact that we're helpless without Yahweh Bashim Yahweh. You know what I mean? We have no. When's the last time that we had a army of Israel since this time. We haven't had none. You know what I mean? We haven't had no official rulership, you know what I'm saying, since this time. Okay, so you've had Israelites in positions of power, but an actual nation of Israel, the true nation. I'm talking about the state of Israel imposters over there, the real Israelites. We haven't been in the land since then, by and large. So we can go ahead and close that on that, unless brothers have any points, precepts. But I believe the point was made. You know what I'm saying, on Daniel 9 and 24. Did you have anything?
Oh, just to back up what I said about the book I went into really quick, just so that internet can hear it and brothers can hear it. But it says in Frederick W. Madden's History of the Jewish Coinage and of Money in the Old and New Testament, which was published in 1864, there's a section where he lists princes of Edom or Idumea. The section appears where he is discussing the Herodian and Roman period of Judea. You see, that says Roman and Herodia, which goes into Revelation 12. But yeah, but this is why I just on Chat GPT, but for brothers to kind of look it up, to back up what I said,
Okay. Yeah, I got the book here. You said Frederick William Madden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Just want to bring a site to it instead of just saying it.
Mm-hmm. Con.
vocab say that they just mysteriously just disappeared after that.
Like, come on, bro. Back in 1864, I was clear understanding on that.
Man. God. So hey man, Lord willing, Aparatazah, this is an edifying lesson. Okay, with that, we're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory unto
Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, and Kakwadash.
Double honors to the apostle, that was a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Until next time, shalom.
Shalom. Thanks.